Hey guys, welcome to my MetaHuman Unreal Engine series. If you're new here, I teach you how to create and customize MetaHumans for your various Unreal Engine projects. So far, we've covered creating outfits and accessories, faces and makeup, and different animation techniques, to name a few. Today, we're diving into creating custom hairstyles using Blender. Now, don't get me wrong, MetaHuman Creator has a lot of great hair options. But it's always empowering to know how to create your own. So for this tutorial, I was inspired by a Swarovski campaign that I really like, in which the hair is dyed to match the color of the accessories that the models are wearing. And so I wanted to create 3 of those looks. First, I created a short pink bob. Then I went on to create a kind of wet-looking, wavy blue pixie cut, and finally a sleek silver ponytail. So yeah, let's get started. I'm assuming you've already created and imported your MetaHuman into Unreal Engine. If not, make sure to check out my previous tutorials covering how to create a MetaHuman and how to import it, which I will link in the description below. Here's the MetaHuman that I'll be using, and here it is imported into Unreal Engine. So first, we want to export the head so we can generate the hair on the scalp of the MetaHuman. So navigate to your MetaHuman folder, go to Face, and find the face mesh. Double click on it, and here at the top you will see Make Static Mesh. This basically creates a duplicate of the face mesh without the bones, so you don't have to delete them once you're in Blender. Save it in the same folder. Then you'll right-click on the static mesh and go to Asset Actions, Export as an FBX, and uncheck LODs. And yeah, save it somewhere. Now in Blender, the first thing we want to do is create a scalp from which the hair is going to emit or grow from. So import your head mesh, go to File, Import FBX, duplicate the head mesh and name it Scalp. Go to a side view, select your scalp and go to Edit Mode. Change the selection to Faces, change the select mode to Lasso, turn the X symmetry on, and change your shading mode to X-ray. And then yeah, just start selecting your area. At some point, you might also have to individually select faces, but in the end, it really doesn't have to be perfect. It's just anywhere on the head that you want the hair to emit from. Hit P and Selection. That will separate the selection. You can delete the original scalp. And now let's add a material to the scalp so we know exactly where the hairline is. Turn back to Shaded Mode, click on your scalp and go to Material Properties. You can delete all of the existing materials that are applied to it and just create a new material that is a different color than the head so that you can really know where the hairline is. And finally, let's create some UVs for the scalp. Click on it. In edit mode, press A, then U to unwrap. All right, now we're ready to start creating some hair. In object mode, click on your scalp and Shift A, curves, empty hair. Go to sculpt mode, click on the Add Hair tool and press N to open the Tools tab. Make sure it's in projected mode. Before we start, I just want to give you a quick overview of the hair guide tools. Hair guides are the curves that will define the shape, flow, and direction of the hair, serving as a foundation for grooming and generating detailed hair systems. So right-click anywhere on the scalp to start creating hair guides. You can select the X symmetry mode to create symmetrical hair guides and check the collision so that the hair doesn't pass through the scalp. You'll see on the right here in your Tools tab that there's a lot of settings you can change. So you can change the points per curve to 8 or 10 for short hair or 15 to 20 for longer hair. This will make the hair curves smoother the more points you add. You can also change the length of the hair here as well as how many hairs you add with each click. Another tool you can use is the hair comb. This will literally help you comb your hair in the desired position. You can adjust the strength and the radius of the brush. The Smooth tool will help you smooth out the hair geometry and make it less frizzy. You can also adjust the hair length with Grow, Shrink by adding or subtracting length to your hair. Finally, you can lift the hair using the Puff tool. If you want to add hair guides that have the same properties as the ones that you've already placed, you can go back to the Add tool, go to Curve Shape, and check all the boxes underneath. All right, so now let's start making this bob. So based on the image that I've picked for inspiration, I've split up the hair into different pieces. It really helps to work on one piece of hair at a time because combing all the hair in one shot is really hard. So let's create the first guides for my little bob hairstyle. Once you're done with the first section of hair guides, it's time to add modifiers. I'll go back to my example from earlier just so that it's nice and simple to follow. Go to your asset browser, click on hair. The first modifier you'll want to add is interpolate hair curves and drag it into your hair curves. This will basically generate additional hair strands between the hair guides that you created. You'll want to always change your surface to scalp. Change the density between 50 to 100, but you can go higher as well for larger areas. Finally, you can adjust the distance to the guides. And go to Render, Properties, Curve, Strip, and add an additional subdivision of 3. Once you've interpolated your hair, you can add other modifiers like braids, clumping hair, and hair curves. For this hairstyle, I just use interpolation, but I will use other modifiers in the next hairstyles. All right, now that I've covered most of the tools needed to create your hair, I'll go back to creating my bob hairstyle and speed up the footage a little bit. But I'll see you when you're ready to export your hair from Blender. Once you're done with creating your hair, it's time to export it from Blender. I usually save a copy of my file at this point because in the next part, we're going to be collapsing some modifiers, so it's always good to have a previous file to go back to if you want to fix some hair guides after. So first, you'll want to go into each curve section and collapse all the modifiers. So go to your first curve section, modifiers, select apply from the drop-down menu, and do this for all the modifiers that you have in each curve section. Then select all of your curves and go to Object, Convert, Particle Systems. Under your scalp mesh, select Modifiers, click on Particle Properties, expand Viewport Display and Render, uncheck Show Emitter in both, and increase the steps to 7 for both. Repeat for each curve section. So basically what you've done here is make the hair smoother and less segmented, and by hiding the emitter, you basically hide the scalp because you don't want it to show in Unreal Engine. Finally, click on your scalp, File, Export, Alembic. Change scale to 100, change the end here to 1. Select visible and selected objects, use settings, viewport, and uncheck everything under here, and export as Alembic. I forgot to show this part, but basically you need to delete the hair of the original MetaHuman by going to its blueprint and deleting it in the hierarchy under face. Go to your MetaHumans folder, in female hair, hair. This is where you'll want to import your hair. So right-click, import, select your Alembic file. You should get the groom import options. For some reason, my hair never appears in the right orientation, so these are the import settings that I use for rotation and for scale. So you can just copy mine if the same thing happens to you, and then click import. Then drag in the scene to preview and reset the location for it to appear at the center of your scene. Double-click on your hair groom. Now you get to play around with how your hair appears in Unreal Engine. In the Interpolation tab, go to Curve Decimation. You can make it lower, like 0.3, 0.4, to make the hair smoother and finer. This will make your hair look really fine at the scalp, so you can go to Strands tab, Hair Root Scale, and you can increase that to make the hair appear thicker at the root. Then we want the hair to flow naturally, so we'll go to Physics, Enable Simulation, which will enable physics for your hair and allow it to move with your MetaHuman. If enabling the physics pulls down the hair too much, you can change the gravity to -300 or -200 so it doesn't get pulled down as much. For materials, go to your material tab, add a material slot and change it to mi_hair. And you'll see that you have the material instance that was created when you imported your MetaHuman. So you can just use that one and I'll show you how to change the settings. So you can find the material instance in your content drawer by clicking on the find icon here, and then you can double click on it to open it. Here you'll have a bunch of settings that you can play around with, including the desaturation value, melanin, hair roughness, hair dye, hair color. You can change all of those settings in this material instance. So basically all of the parameters that you could change in the MetaHuman creator, but a lot more. I personally wanted this hair to be dyed pink, so I had already selected the pink hair dye in MetaHuman Creator, but I adjusted it a little bit in Unreal Engine to a pink color that I liked more. Next, we're going to attach the hair to the MetaHuman by binding it. So right-click on your hair groom and click on Create Binding. In the pop-up, make sure the groom binding type is skeletal mesh and change the target skeletal mesh to your face mesh. Then click Create. A window will pop up, click on Save, and you'll see that a binding asset was created in your content drawer. Open your MetaHuman blueprint. Click on the Add button and search for Groom. Then drag it under your face in the hierarchy. On the right-hand side under Groom, change your Groom asset to the hair that you imported, and then change your binding asset to the one that you just created. Click Compile and Save. And now your hair should be attached to your MetaHuman, and as you can see, it moves with the MetaHuman. So you can delete the other hair that you placed inside the scene. So after tweaking all of these parameters and changing the colors of the material instance a little bit more, this is the final look for the pink hair bob. And now we can move on to the next hairstyle. Okay, so for the next two hairstyles, I'm just gonna show a time lapse of my process because the steps are exactly the same as the first one. The only difference for this specific hairstyle is I used a lot of the hair clumping modifiers to create kind of the wet hair effect. I also split up the hair into way more pieces because I wanted to clump really small parts together. And here is the final look. I think this one is my favorite. For the final hairstyle, I wanted to make a sleek silver ponytail. At first, I tried making a braid, but it didn't look quite right. And I thought that a ponytail fit the look better, so I switched to that. The way that I separated the different hair pieces for this hairstyle was first I did the ponytail, and then I made it look like all of the other hair pieces were kind of sleek back towards the ponytail. And this is the final look for the sleek silver ponytail. Thank you guys so much for joining me on my first tutorial of the year. This process really gave me a newfound respect for hairdressers. Finding a hairstyle that suits a character's face was no small task. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me cover next. Your feedback always inspires my next tutorials. So see you in the next one. Bye!